Daf Yomi Tractate Avodah Zarah, page 45a. Top of the page, new Mishnah. The words Hagoyim, Ha'oivdim, Yehoshua. See here. Okay. Hagoyim, Ha'oivdim, Yehoshua. Esagvois hemutorin uba shalehem asurin shenemar losach mod kesef v'zahav alehem. Okay. The Mishnah says goyim, with regard to the halacha in the case of Gentiles who worship the mountains and hills. The mountains and hills are permitted, but what is upon them is forbidden. Okay. It is not permitted to derive benefit from the mountains and hills themselves, and they can be used for planting, harvesting, and the like. But Gentiles coated them with gold or silver. It is prohibited to derive benefit from the coating, as it is stated, the graven images of their gods you shall burn with fire. You shall not covet the silver or the gold that is on them, nor take it for yourself, lest you be snared by it, for it is the abomination. It is an abomination to the Lord your God. Deuteronomy 7:25. Omer Eloheim Eloharim v'lo heharim Eloheim Eloheim al hagavois v'lo hagavois Eloheim. Rabbi Yossi clearly says, with regard to the verse, you shall destroy all the places where the nations that you are to dispossess serve their gods, upon the high mountains and upon the hills, and under every leafy tree. Deuteronomy 12:2. Mitzvah to destroy objects of idol worship applies to their gods upon the high mountains, but not the mountains themselves that are their gods. Similarly, it applies to their gods upon the hills, but not to the hills themselves that are their gods. The Mishnah asks, and for what reason then is an asher forbidden? Doesn't the verse also state, and under every leafy tree, which indicates that the mitzvah to destroy objects of idol worship. Okay, where were we? And for what reason, as is a share, doesn't the verse also state under every leafy tree, which indicates that the mitzvah to destroy objects of idol worship does not apply to the tree themselves? The Mishnah answers, it is because it is a product of human involvement and did not grow by itself. And the halacha is anything that is a product of human involvement is forbidden. Amar Rabbi Akiva, ani ovin ve'adun lefanecha kol makom she'ata motzei har gavoa v'giva nasa ve'etz ra'anan da sheyesh sham avodah zarah. Rabbi Akiva says, I will explain and decide the matter before you. The verse does not indicate limitations to the halachic definitions of idols. Rather, it is simply giving indicators of prevalent idolatrous practice. Everywhere that you find a high mountain or an elevated hill or a leafy tree, know that there is idol worship there. The Gemara, that was the Mishnah. The Gemara says, Yosef Ruli Hainu Tanakame Amar Rami Barachama Amar Rish Lakish Tzipui Har Kehar Ika Binayu Tanakama Savar Tzipui Har Eno Kehar Umit Sar. Rabbi Yossi Lili Savar Tzipui Har Hare Hu Kehar. The Gemara asks, but isn't the opinion of Rabbi Yossi Lili the same as the first Tana? Both of them indicate that what is on the mountain is forbidden, while the mountain itself is permitted. Rami Bar Chama says that Reish Lakish says the difference between them is the issue of whether the status of the coating of a mountain is like the status of the mountain itself. The first Tana holds that the status of the coating of the mountain is not like the mountain itself, and it is therefore forbidden. And Rabbi Yossi Aglili holds that the status of the coating of the mountain is like the mountain itself. Rejecting this explanation, Rosh Hashanah says, everyone agrees that the status of the coating of the mountain is not like the mountain itself, and it is forbidden. Now we turn to 45b, top of the page. Continuing on the top of 45b. Tanakama Sofer Ilan Shinato Ulibasof Avdo Mutar. Yossi Aglili Sofer Ilan Shinato Ulibasof Avdo Asur. And here they disagree with regard to the status of the tree that one planted and only subsequently worshipped. The first Tana holds that a tree that one planted and subsequently worshipped is permitted. Rabbi Yossi Aglili holds that a tree that one planted and subsequently worshipped is forbidden. Mimai Midik Tani Seva Mipnei Ma Asher Asura Mipnei Sheyesh Ba Tefisas Yidei Adam V'chol Sheyesh Ba Tefisas Yidei Adam Asur V'chol Sheyesh Ba Tefisas Adam L'asui Ma'ai Lav Asui Ilan Shatu Sof Avodah. The Gemara asks, from where does Rav Sheshet infer that Rabbi Yossi Aglili holds that such a tree is forbidden? It is from the fact that the Mishnah teaches the last clause. For what reason isn't share forbidden? It is because it is a product of human involvement and does not grow by itself. And the halacha is that anything that is product of human involvement is forbidden. What is added by the generalization and anything that is a product of human involvement is forbidden? It is not added to include the case of a tree that one planted and subsequently worshipped. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda Savar, Ilan Shanatu Lusif Avodah Asur, the Tanya Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Mitoch Shene'emar Elohim al Heharim Velo Heharim Elohim. Elohim Magvos Vlogos Elohim Shome'ani Tachas Kol Eitz Ra'anan Elohim Velo Ra'anan Elohim. The Gemara notes Rabbi Yossi, son of Rabbi Yehuda, also holds the tree that one planted subsequently worshipped, and subsequently worship is forbidden. As it is taught in a Braita with regard to the verse, you shall destroy all the places where the nations that you are dispossessed serve their gods, upon high mountains, upon the hills, and on every leafy tree. Deuteronomy 12:2. Rabbi Yossi, son of Yehuda, says, from that which is stated in the verse, you shall destroy their gods upon the mountains, from which the sages derive, but not the mountains themselves, are their gods. You shall destroy their gods upon the hills, but the hills themselves, they're their gods. I would derive from the next clause in the verse, their gods, under every leafy green tree, that the mitzvah to destroy an object of idol worship does not apply to the leafy trees themselves, that are their gods. Therefore, the next verse states, and you shall break down their altars, and dash in pieces their pillars, and burn their asherim with fire. Deuteronomy 12:3. Even a tree that was worshipped only after it was planted is forbidden. Only a tree that was worshipped after it was planted is forbidden. Okay. Only a tree worshipped after it was planted is forbidden. Ella, tachas kol Yisrael lamali ahud k'der b'kiva. Damar b'kiva ani avin adun lefanecha. Kol makom she'ata motzei har gavoa v'kiva nasa v'eitz ranan dash yesham. Rather, If the trees themselves are forbidden, why do I need the phrase under every leafy tree? The phrase comes to teach a halacha in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. As Rabbi Akiva says, I will explain and decide the matter before you. Everywhere you find a high mountain or an elevated hill or a leafy tree, know that there is idol worship there. From the fact that Rabbi Yossi, the son of Yehuda, does not derive from the phrase under every leafy green tree that a tree was planted. A tree that was planted and only subsequently worshipped is still permitted. It is apparent that he holds such a tree is forbidden. This is consistent with the opinion of Rav Sheshet ascribes to Rabbi Yossi HaGalili. Rabbanan Hai Vashem Tisruvesh My Avdi Le Mipoyle Leilan Shinatu Mitchila Lekach. They weren't asked, and as for the rabbis who maintain that a tree that was planted and subsequently worshipped is permitted, what do they do with the verse and burn their asherim with fire? The Gemara answers, this verse is necessary with regard to the halacha of the tree that was initially planted for the idolatrous practice, which must be destroyed and from which deriving benefit is prohibited. Continuing in the Talmud. Okay, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, Nami, Mibayale. Right. Lahachim. Achinami ela ilan shenatu l'sov avda manale nafka le mi v'asherem tigadeun ezehu eitz shegideu asur v'karo mutar have omer ilan shenatu ule basov avdo. The Gemara asks, but doesn't Rabbi Yossi, the son of Yehuda, also require this phrase to teach this? The Gemara answers, indeed he does. Rather, from where does he derive that a tree that when planted and subsequently worshipped is forbidden? He derives it from the following verse. But so shall you deal with them. You shall break down their altars and dash in pieces their pillars and hew down their asherim and burn their graven images with fire. This is Rami 7:5. Now, which is the tree whose trunk is forbidden, but its root is permitted, as the verse instructs one to hew it down? You must say that it is referring to a tree that one planted and subsequently worshipped. The Gemara asks how that verse can be the source of the ruling of Rabbi Yossi, son of Yehuda, for deeming forbidden a tree that was planted and only subsequently worshipped. But doesn't the Braita state that he adduces the deprivation prohibiting worship Asherah trees from the verse, and you shall break down their altars and dash in pieces their pillars and burn their Asherim with fire? Ilu lo nemar kamar, ilu lo nemar tisrafun ba'esh, haiti omer ashrehem tegadim be'ilan shenatu mitchil lekach. Hashta kativ ashrehem tisrafun ba'esh, iatar lev ashrehem tegadim be'ilan shenatu l'v'soif avdo. The Gemara answers by deriving this halacha from the verse and burn their asherim with fire. Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Yehuda, is speaking, utilizing the style of if it were not stated. The Gemara explains, if the verse burn their asherim with fire were not stated, I would have said that verse, hewn down their asherim, is referring to a tree that was initially planted for idol worship. Now that is written, and burn their asherim with fire, the verse and hewn down their asherim is rendered superfluous and is consequently interpreted as referring to a tree that one planted and subsequently worshipped. Therefore, it is ultimately this latter verse that serves as the source for the implied ruling of Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Yehuda, that it is prohibited to derive benefit from such a tree. The Rabbanan Hai Vashreim Tigadim like Avijaleh, Lichad Yehoshua Levi, Dam Yehoshua Levi, Gedu'ei Avodah Zarah, Kodmin, L'Kibush Eretz Yisrael, Kibush Eretz Yisrael Kodem Bi'ur Avodah Zarah. Okay, the Gemara asks, as for the rabbis, what do they do with the verse? And hew down their asherim. The Gemara answers that this verse is written in order to teach the halacha in accordance with the statement of Yehoshua ben Levi, as Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says. The felling of trees dedicated to idol worship precedes the conquering of Eretz Yisrael, and conquering Eretz Yisrael precedes the eradication of all the objects of idol worship. The Tani Rabbi Yosef, v'nitatztem es mizbechotam, v'hadach v'shibaltem es matzivotam, v'hadach. Rabbi Yosef teaches a brighta. The verse states, "And you shall break down their altars and dash in pieces their pillars, and burn their asherim with fire." Rabbi Yosef explains, "And you shall break down their altars and leave them, as the Torah does not prescribe that they be burned, and dash in pieces their pillars, and leave them." Behanach salkadaitach sreifabai amar Huna Radof ve'achar kach srof. The Gemara asks, but does it enter your mind that the Torah is instructing one to leave them alone? Doesn't an object of idol worship require burning? As it says at the end of the verse, and burn their asherim with fire. Rav Huna says, pursue the enemy and then return to burn them. Meaning, first smash their objects of idol worship, then conquer the land, and then return to burn the smashed items. Okay. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, Hai Svara Minale, Nafkale Miavad Havdun Abed Abed, Yakakak Abedun. The Gemara asks, and from where does Rabbi Yossi, the son of Yehuda, derive this opinion about the order of priorities in the process of conquering Israel? The Gemara answers, he derives it from the verse, "You shall destroy all the places where the nation that you are to dispossess serve their gods, upon the high mountains, upon the hills, under every leafy tree." From the double verb form of the directive, "you shall destroy," he derives that there are two stages to the destruction of their gods. First destroy them, smash them, and then go conquer the land, and that only afterwards shall you destroy them completely, or burn them, eradicate them. Rabbanan, Miboyle, the Gemara asks the rabbis, and what do the rabbis derive from the double verb? What do rabbis do with this thing? The double verb is necessary to teach that when one deracinates an object, deracinates? Not sure. An object of idol worship, he need not root it out. Oh, it pulls it out its roots. Yeah, he need not root it out, all traces of it. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, l'sharesh achrei minalei nafkalei ve'abadtem im shamam min hamakom. And the Gemara asks, and from where does Rabbi Yossi, the son of Yehuda, derive the obligation to root out all traces of idol worship? The Gemara answers, he derives it from the verse, "And you shall break down their altars, and you shall dash in pieces their pillars, and burn their asherim with fire. You shall hew down the graven images of their gods, and you shall destroy their name out of that place." Deuteronomy 12:3. The Rabbanan, Ahu lechanot la sham, Nitani Rabbi Elazar Omer, Menayin lo k'naved zareh, shetzarech l'shares achreiha. The Gemara asks, and what do the rabbis derive from this verse? The Gemara answers that verse teaches that it is a mitzvah to give a derogatory nickname to an idol, as it is taught in a brighta that Rabbi Eliezer says. From where is it derived that when one deracinates an object of idol worship, he needs not to root out all the traces of it? The verse states, "And you shall destroy their name out of that place." Okay.